Good afternoon, and welcome to the best practices of the third of 7 webinars of NLSA Exemplary School Best Practices. My name is Stu Teets, and I am the principal of Faith Lutheran School in Lincoln, Nebraska, and chairman for the National Lutheran School Accreditation Commission. Today we will be having the first of 2 best practice webinars from Bethany Lutheran School of Parma, Ohio. In today's webinar, Bethany will share with us the Reaching Out and Reaching Up program, which explores the Student Council, Kindergarten Partners, and Excel, a program for gifted students. Mr. William Moses, our presenter today, will share these best practices with us. Next week's webinar, November 13th, from Bethany Lutheran School, Parma, Ohio, is on the best practice of learning labs for mind and body. Previous webinars are archived and linked on a startup page on the Lutheran School portal at luthed.org. Today's webinar will be posted in a few weeks after today's presentation. According to Concordia University, Wisconsin's Office of Continuing and Distance Education hosts and produces our webinars. We thank God for their continued leadership related to innovative technology in Lutheran schools. I'd like to begin with prayer. If you join me. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the teaching ministry at Bethany Lutheran School. Our prayer is that you will continue to bless their ministry to their students and families. May we learn from them what they share with us today, and that we will be blessed to continue to work with your people in the sharing of your gospel message. And Lord, please give all Lutheran schools the power of the Holy Spirit to be servants of Christ in our communities and our schools. We pray this in your Son's name, Jesus, our Savior. Amen. Bill, welcome. We're ready to hear from your best practices from Bethany Lutheran.
Thank you. Welcome to this webinar presented by Bethany Lutheran School in Parma, Ohio. The staff at Bethany thanks you for your interest and participation in this event. There will be a time at the end for questions. Bethany's mission statement reads, to train a child's heart, hands, and head for a lifetime of discipleship to God and service to their fellow man. To accomplish this mission, it is important that Bethany offers academic programs that challenge our students' ability to think creatively and at a higher level, and that they learn to have compassion for others, and to serve others with their time, talent, and treasure, and at the same time share the love and forgiveness of Jesus with them. At midnight on July 21st, 2001, a fire caused $3 million in damage to Bethany's school and its contents. By the grace of God's leading hand, the outpouring of prayers, gifts, and letters of encouragement from Lutheran schools across the country, and the congregation's commitment to continue this important ministry to God's children, Bethany rebuilt the school after 2 years of operating the school in 3 different locations. The time away created hardships that were significant, but never diminished the school's resolve to not only carry on the Lord's work, but to return to a rebuilt facility that would be even better equipped to meet the needs of the 21st century learner, and with a greater sense of purpose to meet the goals laid out in our mission statement. We have always felt that our oldest students set the tone for the whole school. They are the ones who are most often in the public eye, as athletes on the court, main characters in the school's drama presentations, and so on. There is a natural bond between the youngest and the oldest in the school. To help our youngest feel special and our oldest to feel a responsibility to be positive role models, Bethany has an 8th grade Kindergarten Partners program. Linda Tomko, who served Bethany as its kindergarten teacher for 25 years, will present this part of the seminar.
Over 20 years ago, our principal viewed a film of a Japanese school and their custom of welcoming the youngest new students into their school family. The student body lined up into 2 parallel lines and held their hands up to form an arch for the oldest classmates to take the newest, youngest students through the arch to welcome them to the school. Our principal decided that he would like to implement that idea here at Bethany, so he approached the 8th grade teacher and the kindergarten teacher and asked if we would plan to do this same idea at the beginning of the school term to welcome the kindergarten class into the school, escorted by an 8th grader. He wanted to add the arch till the last day of the term and have the kindergarten students escort the 8th graders back through the arch into the closing chapel service as a way to send our graders off with our best wishes for a blessed future in their high school careers. This idea was implemented, and a few years later, the staff decided that all new students, along with new staff members for that term, should be added to the kindergarten class and be sent through the arch to welcome them to our school family. We also decided that the student body would not hold their hands up to form an arch, which was hard for the younger grade children to do, and we asked that the students clap as the 8th graders and the kindergartners went by them. Thus, Arch Day became an exciting way to bring the whole school body together after the second chapel day of the new term, to escort and welcome the new kindergarten and students and staff members to our school family. Our principal also requested that the 8th graders and kindergarten students meet at least once a month to do an activity together so as to foster some friendships and memories for the kindergarten class. This goal began monthly meetings of different activities which focused on some academic or learning interests during that time frame. On the welcoming Arch Day, as soon as the 8th graders had taken the students through the arch, they spent an hour doing some activity centers based on the theme of Eric Carle's book on fireflies. In September, the 8th graders came and spent some time working on activity centers on Johnny Appleseed Day. In October, the 8th graders came back to help the children in culminating activity centers for a science unit on bats. On the day before Thanksgiving vacation, the 8th graders returned to do activity centers for Native American Day. The students worked on making Native American headgear and accessories, along with learning to weave a basket mat. The students enjoyed shooting arrows at wooden buffaloes and going fishing. It was interesting each year to see the 8th graders excited to teach their kindergarten partner how to use the bow and arrow, and hear them telling their partner what they did when they were kindergarten students 8 years earlier. The student partners enjoyed celebrating Jesus' birthday together and making an ornament that they could put on their Christmas tree at home in December. In January, the students enjoyed making a hungry caterpillar book, along with learning to put the foods eaten by the caterpillar in the correct sequence. After enjoying spending 100th day with the kindergarten class in February, the 8th graders returned 2 times in March. They would bring a game that they could play with their kindergarten partner during National Lutheran Schools Week. Later in the month, both the 8th graders and the kindergartners enjoyed doing the activity centers based on the story of the Gingerbread Boy. Every year it would be fun to hear the 8th graders share where the big Gingerbread Boy cookie had run to when he or she was in kindergarten, and asking where the Gingerbread Boy had run to that current year. The year quickly came to a close with the 8th graders coming for activities on Maundy, Thursday, and an activity in May. On the last day of school, the kindergarten parents sponsored a luncheon for the kindergarten and the 8th graders. After lunch, the kindergarten students escorted the 8th graders back through the student body arch and into the closing chapel service. We have found that this custom not only built good memories for our 8th graders and our kindergarten students, but our families look forward to the day too. We would receive calls from the school families asking the specific dates for the next term's Arch Day so they could make work plans and be able to join with us. We have seen our 8th grade parents become good friends with the kindergarten families at the Arch Day and monthly activities, which has helped build a stronger community relationship for not only our students, but also for our school families.
Thank you, Linda. The next part of our webinar focuses on the Bethany Student Council Program and its emphasis on service to others. The presenter here is Ed Ristow.
The Student Council at Bethany Lutheran School shares with its students several important components. It provides leadership opportunities, promotes good citizenship, and develops a sense of responsibility to the BLS community that includes school, church, and our local community in Northeast Ohio. The overall Student Council program supports and encourages activities and service opportunities that foster an understanding and appreciation for students' participation as responsible, informed, and active citizens in our society. Throughout its organizational structure, Student Council at BLS supports the principles of American democracy that are representative of fundamental concepts of our nation's heritage. Recognizing that the Christian leaders of tomorrow are in our classrooms today, our Student Council program works diligently to promote values and character consistent with the attributes shared by the Apostle Paul in Galatians 5, verses 22-23. Although Student Council has played an active role as an extracurricular activity at Bethany Lutheran School for decades, we became an accredited member of the National Student Council Association in 2002. Although our program functions somewhat differently from the traditional NSCA Student Council model, the information and programs shared by the NSCA are beneficial in our consideration throughout the year. Our program and requirements for participation are focused on an organizational model that prioritizes service to our community. As a result, all students, grades 4 through 8, have the opportunity to participate. We do not hold candidate assemblies, all-school, or classroom elections for membership, as we focus on our service opportunities. Students sharing a servant's heart are always welcome and encouraged to participate in the application process. The process of member selection includes the student completing and submitting an application form and 2 essays. One essay sharing a personal reflection on their perspective of Christian citizenship, and a second essay on personal attributes as demonstrated daily with students, faculty, and staff. Additionally, an attribute checklist, as completed by a member of the faculty who has had the student previously in class, is also submitted to demonstrate the student's daily Christian citizenship and potential leadership skills. Our application process begins during the 3rd week of May, when current 6th and 7th grade students are invited to begin. The student will receive an application, completes it with their essays and attribute checklists, and submits by the end of May. Their acceptance into the program is acknowledged by June 1. This group of students represents our executive committee and meets once a month in June, July, and August. It is at those meetings that plans for a tentative schedule for the entire school year are discussed. On the very first day of the new school year, application forms for new 4th, 5th, and 6th grade students are distributed. Their forms are submitted by the end of the first full week of school, and acceptance into the program is acknowledged the following Monday, as our first service event occurs on the Saturday of Labor Day weekend. This group of students represents our classroom representatives. Our 2012-2013 roster includes 43 students, grades 4 through 8, with 13 members of our executive committee. This represents 31%, or about a third, of our 4 through 8 enrollment. Historically, we average between 30 to 40% student participation from our student body. Our meetings, held the first Thursday of each month, center on 3 primary considerations: the evaluation of events of the previous month, a planning on specific programs for the next month, and a reflection on opportunities and new considerations for the months to come. One of the responsibilities of Student Council is the planning, coordinating, and implementation of our monthly chapel offering. As with most Lutheran schools, our chapel offering focus is very diverse, as we attempt each year to plan and coordinate a focus that shares a diverse reach of local, national, and global programs. Student Council itself directly participates in leading 2 chapel services each year. In November, a coordinated effort with the congregation invites veterans to participate in our Veterans Chapel service, where they are recognized for their service to our country. In an April tie-in with Earth Day, Student Council leads the chapel service that focuses on the environment and our responsibilities as good stewards of God's amazing gift to us. The Executive Committee, during its summer meetings, plans the service activities for the entire year. Coordinating and implementing the service activities again provides the program with the consideration of local, national, and global issues where we can utilize the efforts of our student body to assist in programs of need. As the school year begins, our new student orientation event invites all of our new students, grades 1 through 8, to a morning session that provides an opportunity to lower the anxiety level of coming to a new school. Coordinated with the faculty and staff, a general session, student-led tours, and a meeting with the faculty provide insight for those students entering our building for the first time. 2 car washes held each year in September and June provide for Student Council the opportunity to focus fundraisers for specific needs within the school and congregation, such as families with significant medical costs, area mission programs in need, such as hunger centers, and tie-ins with specific disaster relief programs. 3 bake sales, held each year in October, May, January, and May, provide for Student Council the opportunity to again focus fundraisers for the many diverse needs within our community. Historically, Student Council has focused its holiday efforts on one annual canned food drive the first week of November to be shared with our City Hunger Center. The Executive Committee, however, through a discussion with the Cleveland Food Bank last spring, decided during its summer planning sessions to expand its efforts to 3 canned food drives this year, with the additional drives focused on the program at the CFB. Student recruitment programs, responsibility of Student Council for only the last 5 years, feature student-led tours during our January all-school open house, as well as participation in a local education fair in February, where members of the Executive Committee represent BLS with an exhibit, hands out, and talking with prospective students and their families. Additionally, after discussions last spring with the Church Council and Board of Christian Day School, the Student Council will begin, on behalf of our school, to pursue informational visitations on Sunday mornings at area Lutheran and Christian congregations where current parochial schools do not exist. Our most successful fundraiser for the last several years is the Leukemia Society's Pasta for Pennies. As Bethany lost a 7th grade student in 2007 to childhood leukemia, our fundraising drive, the first week each February, has raised over $25,000 since 2004. Tied in with the Olive Garden restaurants, Pasta for Pennies provides 2 winning classrooms with free lunches at our local Olive Garden restaurant. BLS has also received area recognition from the Northeast Ohio Leukemia Society for our efforts and success. Each March, the Student Council coordinates a spring blood drive with the American Red Cross. Working with the Red Cross to market the event within our school and congregation as well as our community, Student Council members also assist by watching the children of donors. Another successful program for our community outreach effort is our participation with the Northeast Ohio Regional Solid Waste District's Zero Waste Management Day, an environmental school-wide contest that we tie in each April with Earth Day. Student Council has coordinated this lunchtime program the last 9 years, which attempts to eliminate all waste products from one day of school lunches. The Northeast Ohio school with the least percentage of waste per student is declared the winner. BLS has won this event 3 times, generating substantial public attention for our school and congregation. Student Council for each of our 3 awards was invited to a Parma City Council meeting where the school was publicly recognized, a proclamation read by the City Council and Mayor, and BLS received a Citizen of the Month award from the Law Director. The first Sunday of May, the City of Parma sponsors a Community Service Day. Student Council members participate at Stearns Farm, a registered Ohio landmark, by helping to clean the site and working in the yard with members of the Parma Historical Society. Several acknowledgments of our participation have been shared in local papers. As the Executive Committee brainstormed last year in an attempt to increase disappointing participation and donations at our January Winter Bake Sale, the Unband was formed. The Unband includes members of Student Council who participate in our instrumental band program, as well as any other member who wishes to play a homemade instrument. Modeled after the antics of the Stanford University Marching Band, the Unband rehearses once a week, beginning in October, for just one performance. The Unband wears individual costumes as they march through the halls and classrooms on a Friday afternoon prior to the bake sale to help market this event. Success was evident for last year's first Unband performance. It was our school's best ever bake sale in donations received. Always looking for ways in which it can share the message, Student Council actively participates in multiple marketing efforts to define its commitment to helping others. We thank God for the blessings He has shared with us.
Thank you, Mr. Ristow. Bethany is pleased to be part of the overall educational programs in the state of Ohio. Ohio awards private and parochial schools with funding that can be used for textbooks, supplies, and equipment that is used for student instruction. And the next two sections of the webinar involve instructional labs that were funded through the use of these auxiliary funds from the state of Ohio. The first is in the content area of music. Bethany is blessed with a specialist music education teacher who is able to teach the classroom music curriculum for all grades K to 8. We had a desire to make that program even better and in a way that would use current technology to better engage each student musically in a hands-on way. Our music teacher, Jan Razzoletti, will present this portion.
Our Yamaha in Education program, MIE, is a tool with which to teach rather than a separate subject that has to be specifically taught. MIE, along with handbells, tone chimes, recorders, and other classroom instruments, provides a hands-on approach to teaching music and meeting our Ohio State standards. The MIE technology provides an environment in which students engage in music by performing, creating, and responding to music as active participants rather than infrequent or passive spectators. There are three key components of music in education. Number one is curriculum. Instructional sequence, concept development, and guided practice towards mastery of skills are central to the program. Within the curriculum of MIE, three characteristics are group instruction, individualized assessment, and expert thinking. The curriculum is delivered via a series of lessons grouped by opus. An opus focuses upon a particular music concept and or skill. Students will sing, play, discuss, and or listen using the new concept, then apply that concept in individual and group activities. Initial opuses are ideally suited to be used with students as early as the second and third grades who possess important basic reading skills and motor development. Introductory preludes provide experiences for early learners, pre-K through first grade, as well as learners with special needs. The second key component is literature. Curriculum materials recognize and respect the traditions of classroom music and our rich cultural heritage and provide a bridge between those traditions and a contemporary setting for instruction. The literature includes student songbooks, and each song also has full MIDI accompaniment available via the MIE software. Overhead transparencies are also provided for all songs, charts, worksheets, and quizzes. The third component is technology. MIE technology is conceived as an important component that empowers the teacher and enhances the classroom. Hardware and software were developed as an outgrowth of the instructional purposes of the program. Our program here at Bethany consists of 16 keyboards that accommodate up to 30 students. Each keyboard has split and ensemble modes, so students can work together or alone. One keyboard is for the teacher's use, as well as a Macintosh computer that contains the MIE software. The software includes lesson plans, instructional activities, testing, and record keeping. The following video contains 2 sample lessons in our keyboard lab. The first lesson is grade 5, and the second lesson is grade 6. Okay. And if you are a response person, raise your hand. Good. Now for just a couple minutes, I'm going to let you warm up on your own part. So everybody's going to put on their headphones, and the pianos are set for split. And you all just practice either the call or the response, whichever one you are doing. Go ahead. One, two, ready, call. Mrs. Rezzoletti, what did you do wrong? You didn't put the sound on. Oh,
We should. Yeah, we should have.
All right, here we go. Call people, we'll start it. 1, 2, ready, go. Together, C, G, F, G, C. All right, today we're working on our song Zoom Gali Gali, and we know that that's a song from Israel. How many parts are there to this song? Noah.
3.
3 parts. Are we playing the melody? Grace?
No.
No. What would you call the parts so that we're learning? Alan?
Part 1 and 2.
Parts 1 and 2. What's another word for those parts though, Alex?
Verses.
No, not verses. It begins with an H. Adam?
Harmony.
Harmony. All right. Raise your hand if you are part 1, harmony part 1. Okay. Raise your hand if you're harmony part 2. Good. Now, we're going to start with the harmony part number 1, and you're going to play by yourself. So, get your fingers in that A minor position. No headphones on because we're out loud now. All right? Part 1. 1, 2, ready, go. Rest. Rest, rest. Very good. All right, now let's do part 2, harmony part 2. Fingers still in the A minor position. 1, 2, ready, go. Rest, 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 rest. Very good. Now let's put the 2 parts together. Fingers in place. 1, 2, ready, go. Very good. Now we're going to do part 1 with part 2 and the music. Fingers in place. Here we go. 2, ready, go. Very good.
Hopefully everybody was able to hear that sound. We had our speakers muted here. The second learning lab that used state funding is in the area of physical education. The presenter, Dave Selke, has served Cleveland area Lutheran schools as athletic director, coach, and teacher. He has presented at both our local Ohio Educators Conference and the National LEA Conference on building athletic programs with Christian sportsmanship as a focus. Here to present is Dave Selke.
What a great time this is at Bethany. Our students have the unique opportunity to engage in a fun activity that will encourage a lifestyle that promotes fitness for life. When I began teaching PE over 30 years ago, my physical education classes were unmemorable and uninspired. We played dodgeball, kickball, and the usual units of volleyball, basketball, and other team sports. Usually the boys would dominate the activity simply because of their undisciplined aggression, while others would participate, hoping not to get hurt or in the way. I tried to make playing and participating as fair as I could to try to make the class enjoyable for everyone. Despite my efforts to make PE a positive experience for all kids, I knew that it could be much more. Bethany Lutheran School took the thought, what if we focused on developing a PE curriculum that emphasized fitness, cooperative activities, and health education? What if we were to devote sufficient time, energy, equipment, and funding to developing proactive, well-informed attitudes toward maintaining active lifestyles? How about dance, cycling, and rock wall climbing as 3 of those activities? How about putting our focus on cardiovascular fitness with a strong emphasis on aerobic and anaerobic exercises? We wanted to challenge and engage our students and excite them to want to participate. We are going to change the lifestyles of our youth and combat childhood obesity. Through regular exercise, the students are going to release happy hormone endorphins, which improve mood and energy level. The benefits of increased physical activity are numerous. Fit, healthy students behave and learn better. Children who balance competitive sports with activities that involve cooperation are likely to have healthier attitudes about both competition and cooperation. Then we focused on the outgoing epidemic of childhood obesity. Childhood obesity currently affects over a third of all children ages 6 through 11. This has increased 3-fold in the last 10 years. This affects over 25 million children in our country. The 2 main causes are a sedentary lifestyle and fast food chains, which have altered the diets of many young people. More than 70% of our obese youth are at higher risk of heart disease. So we have looked at how we can combat this serious epidemic. In simplest terms, we realize that childhood obesity results from an energy imbalance where children consume more calories than they burn through physical activity and normal growth. Our physical education classes had to change. We needed to increase the frequency, intensity, and physical activity in class. You do that by implementing more activities that focus on aerobic exercise activities. Through research, we learned that we can get kids moving and combat childhood obesity by combining vigorous exercise with a generous helping of gaming technology. Kids seem to like the idea of interactive fitness machines because it has a technology twist with a gaming kind of feel to it. We knew that many students are interested in video games, so we researched video games that incorporated aerobic exercise. Clearing out our gym balcony, we created a physical education fitness lab and installed 13 game bikes and 12 game pads that interface with Sony PS2 game systems. Students enjoy riding the bikes and also enjoy the challenges of Dance Dance Revolution. Heart rates are monitored and they are challenged to increase the difficulty levels of their exercise routines. We have found that using technology in this way has brought an excitement and fitness value to our physical education program. We then took a look at the importance of anaerobic exercises and installed a horizontal rock wall that stretches over 40 feet. A different set of muscles are emphasized during this area of our PE curriculum. At Bethany, we focus on exercise that helps our circulatory system. This PE lab reinforces this perfectly. We know that regular exercise will strengthen our heart, and as we exercise more, we will also pump more blood and nutrients to the rest of our body. We want kids to know that regular exercise will reduce the amount of fat in their blood. So we focus on cardiovascular fitness and the importance of keeping our heart strong. One type of exercise that promotes this is aerobic exercise, which increases your heartbeat over a period of time. The game bikes and dance pads promote this as students breathe harder and faster as they exercise. The horizontal rock wall promotes a type of exercise that also promotes cardiovascular fitness that focuses on anaerobic exercise, which challenges the muscles to work hard for a short time. Anaerobic exercise builds muscle strength, and climbing on a horizontal rock wall will improve core building muscles as well as those muscles in your arms and legs. More and more children today are at risk of becoming overweight because of lifestyle changes and poor eating habits. Our physical education program incorporates physical fitness testing for all students and focuses on aerobic exercise activities. However, we investigated ways to better engage students in lifelong fitness activities that would lead to better overall fitness, while at the same time making it fun for the students, so they would be more likely to continue those activities later in life. We knew that most students are interested in video games, but that often made them less active physically. We discovered a program that combines aerobic exercise and the challenge of video gaming to accomplish our goal of making exercise fun. For those that are physical education teachers, you know what a waste of time some PE classes can be. Most overweight kids are not lazy. They are bored. We feel that kids who use game bikes and game pads can spice up what some kids think is the dullest hour of their day. It's exercise, but it's also fun, and they forget about the calories that they are burning. Most PE teachers believe it is very important for kids to work out and eat healthy. Current statistics from the Center for Disease Control estimate that 30% of preteens don't do either. At Bethany, we are concerned about the body mass index of each student, looking at the measure of body fat based on their height, weight, and age. Public health experts estimate that 1 in 3 American children are now considered to be overweight or obese. We are in the middle of the worst public health crisis in history, and most parents don't want to admit that their child has a problem. Thus, like a lot of problems that start at home, it is now our problem to solve in school. Game bike and game pad were designed to take advantage of the activity that almost every kid takes part in, video gaming. With game bike and game pad, we keep the excitement of the games, but we add the aerobic exercise element of either a bike or a dance pad. That excitement of working out and competing with their classmates release endorphins, which are often called the happy hormones, which help us to feel good about ourselves and improve our self-esteem. Let's begin talking about the benefits of the dance pads and their impact on physical fitness. Each child performs at the level they feel most comfortable. We do expect to see progression as they move to more difficult levels of dance. They will demonstrate the ability to use perceptual and movement skills in order to perform and respond in their dance steps. Our goal is for students to make connections between dance and healthful living in order to understand and maintain a healthy lifestyle that includes safe movement practices. Dance education also provides students with these experiences: movement skill development, sensory integration, improving coordination, development of self-esteem, use of expression, all strengthened with creative approach to learning. The granddaddy of the exer games is the game DDR, or Dance Dance Revolution. With DDR, children step quickly on a floor pad trying to match the parade of colored arrows before them on a screen. There are different levels, and the students are expected to challenge themselves to get to the upper levels. In addition to the 4 game pads that record the scores, there are 8 practice pads that are behind the 4 game pads. The students on the practice pads are practicing the dance steps before they get into the spotlight, and are also getting as much aerobic exercise as the primary participant. We also find that kids who are good at gamepad might not be good at any other sport. The psychological benefits to these kids are terrific. Hopefully it serves as motivation for them to continue to get healthier in general and to lose pounds at the same time. Here are some of our main objectives for using a gamepad. First, that students will demonstrate the ability to use perceptual and movement skills in order to perform and respond in dance. Next is the idea of personal development and how students will develop personal and interpersonal skills through dance in order to work respectfully, cooperatively, and safely with others. On the same idea, we also hope the students will make connections between dance and healthful living in order to understand and maintain healthy lifestyles. By providing our students these opportunities to learn through movement, dance incorporates the use of auditory, visual, and kinesthetic skills, more commonly referred to as hearing, seeing, and doing. The game bikes that we use are similar to the exercise bicycles in a fitness gym, but the difference is the video screen mounted to the wall in front of the bike. We divide the classes into teams and create some friendly competition. The user operates the game by pedaling the bike and steering the controls. The great thing about using game bikes in this type of group setting is that the kids who are probably not very good at other team sports because they are playing a lot of video games will likely win some of these races. We emphasize relay races as well as game bike rumbles where winners take on the next challenger. All this is done to promote the importance of aerobic exercise. It gives our instructors a great opportunity to reinforce the target heart rate evaluation program that is taught in our health education curriculum. This is based on their age, weight, and there are charts right in front of them on the wall. We have handheld heart rate monitors so students can immediately check their heart rate to try to maintain their target heart rate pace. They then have to chart their progression as they challenge themselves to different levels of difficulty and different aerobic fitness programs. Our students find the most excitement in our 40-foot-long horizontal climbing wall. It is used by the entire student body ages preschool through 8th grade. We emphasize the importance of safety and instruction as we paid a certified rock wall instructor to come in and instruct and demonstrate to students and teachers the proper methods of using a climbing wall. Rock climbing is becoming more and more popular sport each day. The physical benefits of rock wall climbing are plentiful. Rock wall climbing does not stick to one set of muscles, and because of that, it helps us promote to the older children the importance of toning muscles. We reinforce these benefits of rock wall climbing with the kids. Some of those are developing muscle tone, improving flexibility, improving their balance, improving coordination, and enhancing physical focus while burning calories. We also promote teamwork as there are activities that involve climbing together in pairs, as you will see in the video. Rock climbing also makes people confident and builds their self-esteem. It also makes the climber more responsible as they build trust when working with a partner. It helps the students to understand the importance of anaerobic exercise versus aerobic exercise and how different activities can focus on different ways to create a healthy lifestyle experience.
Mr. Moses. Oh, I didn't even break the board.
Mine isn't working. It's too late. Mine is way too late. And then green, she made the pen.
Thank you, Mr. Selke. Because the mission of Lutheran schools is to share the gospel message of Jesus with all the children and their families that God brings to our doors, we often have children with very diverse academic needs. Our goal at BLS is to meet every child's needs with programs and personnel specifically equipped for that purpose. Besides the classroom teachers who use differentiated instruction and prescriptive accommodation to meet the needs of each child in their class, Bethany has a school psychologist, a remedial reading tutor, a Title I tutor for reading and math, an LD tutor, and a speech therapist, all on staff. For students at the other end of the learning spectrum, Bethany has not only the high school level classes offered through distance learning, but also a gifted and talented pull-off program for students from grades 3 to 8. Here to present the final portion of the webinar is Ed Rissell.
The Memoirs of Jesse James, a poem by Richard Brodigan, adapted by a gifted education student. All the time I just sat there, waiting for something new to learn. My teachers should have ridden with Jesse James for all the learning time they have stolen from me. The impact of No Child Left Behind has certainly played an extensive role in the national perspective on the high ability learner. But unfortunately, as with so many other issues in education today, the intent and commitment of well-intentioned educators collides with the reality of school funding. In Ohio, for example, identification of gifted students is mandated, but providing services is not. So unlike our laws requiring differentiation for those at the other side of the learning continuum, the high-ability student is left to face the discretionary choices of their district or school. The results are not encouraging. Recent studies show that 15% of high school dropouts now represent students with IQs at 130 or above. Even at the elementary and middle school level, they may be in school, perhaps even your school, but they may simply tune out. When we ask our exceptional students about their main obstacle in school, they reply, "My main obstacle in school is my school itself." All of this and more perspectives on the high-ability learner may be read further in an insightful research book entitled Genius Denied, How to Stop Wasting Our Brightest Young Minds. Authors are Jan and Bob Davidson. It was published in 2004 by Simon & Schuster. The ISBN number there, 074-325-4600. So perhaps, even in your school, a high-ability child sits in their classroom abilities unrecognized, their needs unmet. Some are bored, while some are patient, waiting for their peers to learn skills and concepts they had mastered 1 or even 2 years earlier. Some find school intolerable, feigning illness, or creating other excuses to avoid, to them, the obvious. They already get it. So, what about differentiation strategies for the high-ability learner or even the possibility of a GT program for your school? Is there the availability of a public school GT coordinator to work with your staff? Some public school districts offer off-site GT programs for parochial school students. Perhaps an opportunity there. Most directly, what about the availability of an on-staff GT intervention specialist? That is the position BLS found itself in 2002 when a licensed K elementary education teacher was hired for a second, fifth grade section, but was also credentialed as a K-12 GT intervention specialist. The wheels were in place, the planning began, and in 2003 a formal GT program, Project Excel, was introduced. The program includes a formal identification of students, as directed by the GT specialist, for grades 3 through 8, that would qualify these identified students. Developed as a 2 classes per week pull-out program, Project Excel has now entered its 10th year of participation in the school curriculum. And while providing services for the identified students, it also provides opportunities for collegial collaboration with the faculty throughout the building when the Excel student returns to their general education classroom and issues of differentiation are considered. Perhaps a question about student population. At BLS, is probably true at your school, our rate of formally identified children is higher than the national average. This year, for our 20 students in Excel, it represents 7.8% of our total student population for grades 3 through 8. Generally speaking, gifted populations will typically run between 3 to 5% of national total student population. The identification of students primarily runs through a 4-step process. First, an initial screening pool is established with the criteria of 3 scores at the 95% or better on the reading, language, mathematics, or overall battery content areas. A score of 95% or better on the cognitive test administered at BLS in the 2nd, 4th, and 7th grade will also qualify a student for the initial screening pool. Additionally, these scores must represent 24 consecutive months or 2 consecutive years of scores at this level for qualification into the initial screening pool. This criteria is consistent with the Ohio Department of Education's gifted education requirements. The remaining steps include a behavioral cognitive checklist that is completed by the student's general education teachers, a parent behavioral cognitive checklist, and finally, a review of the student's portfolio by the intervention specialist. At the beginning of August, a student and parents are invited to attend Preview, an evening program where the specifics of Excel are shared. Ultimately, it is the student and parent who make the final decision on participation. It is important to note that at no time, at any point in the screening process, are grades a factor in establishing qualification for student eligibility into Excel. As an example, our 4th quarter results from last year showed 21 students at BLS, grades 3 through 8, receiving a 4.0 GPA. Only 7 of those students were in the Excel program. The Excel curriculum is designed around 2 semester objectives. The fall semester, which begins the first week in September and lasts until mid-January, focuses on an independent study program where the student selects the topic of their interest, one they may know a great deal about, or one they may know absolutely nothing about. The project will focus on 2 main considerations: the higher-level thinking skills as defined in Bloom's taxonomy, that is, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation, and an open-ended framework in which the student's personal interests are utilized. Examples of student-selected topics from this fall semester include centrifugal force from a third-grade student, Pablo Picasso from a fourth-grade student, myths and legends, a grade 5 student, the Niagara Falls Escarpment, inspired by a trip to Ontario, Canada this past summer for a 6th-grade student, the history of the 505 U-boat, inspired by a trip this past summer to the Chicago Museum of Science and Industry for a 7th-grade student, and the clarinet by an 8th-grade student who plays the clarinet and will interview later this fall the principal chair of the Cleveland Orchestra as part of her program and project requirement. The spring semester, which begins the first week in February and lasts until mid-May, focuses on a design team project where students within the same grade level are given a specific topic selected by the intervention specialist and cooperatively develop their project to meet the program requirements. The 2013 spring semester topic is the Creative Curator, where students will create their own museum exhibit. This project will focus on the opportunity to heighten the students' awareness and knowledge integration, meeting objectives of a commonly shared goal, and problem-solving skills as related to a creative vision. During the spring, Excel students will travel for a field experience to the Cleveland Museum of Art and the Cleveland Museum of Natural History to visit and speak with specific exhibit curators on their own creative responsibilities. A trifold demonstrating scholarly research, a PowerPoint presentation demonstrating technology integration, and a model demonstrating creative functionality are program requirements. The model itself will represent a variety of considerations. The culminating event for each semester's project is the Excel Fair, held at the end of January and again at the end of May. At the fair, students present their exhibits to an audience of parents, family, friends, and invited gifted education guests from throughout northeastern Ohio. The larger question remains: what happens when the high-ability student spends most of their time in the general education setting? Key principles of differentiation must be applied. First, the teacher is clear about what matters in the content area. Second, the teacher builds upon student differences. Third, the teacher adjusts content, process, and product in response to readiness, interests, and learning profiles. Fourth, students and teachers are collaborators in learning. For example, in Excel, the intervention specialist serves more as a facilitator rather than instructor. Finally, flexibility is the hallmark of the differentiated classroom. So, a final thought on differentiation. Teachers that begin to move toward a more sharply defined differentiated classroom for their high-ability students will ultimately find greater success if they have a clear and defensible rationale for differentiation. Prepare students and their parents for what their differentiated classroom truly represents. Attend to issues of classroom management as they move toward student-centered learning, and develop a differentiated pace that is comfortable to both the teacher and high-ability learner. With that, wishing you every blessing as you develop or continue your differentiated opportunities for your high-ability learners.
Thank you, Mr. Ristow. This concludes the presentation of our best practices. It is our desire that the ideas presented here may be used as food for thought, that you may look at your programs and curriculum for ways to enhance your offerings, with the end result that as Lutheran schools, we may better our ministry efforts not only to educate children in today's world, but to educate children for an eternity with the love of Jesus Christ as their focus. The contact information for the presenters is shown here, and we can answer any questions at this point.